Hello, Home Slices. This is Kiera with Home Slice Adulting coming to you with my review for Season 1, Episode 13 of Love and Marriage Huntsville. First off, I want to thank you for clicking on this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with someone who you think will enjoy it. Now, the title of this episode is Cabin Fever, and we see that four couples, the newest couple being Sadarik and his wife Adara, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name just yet, along with our normal three couples going to Sadarik and Adara's cabin in Gatlinburg. It's a nice little trip. They're not super far from each other. They showed us on the map, so I'm guessing it's probably like a 2 or 3 hour drive. Who knows? Anyways, the point is they're away at this nice cabin. They're away from the city. They're going to spend some time doing some relationship building and hopefully get the comeback group at least on better terms. They don't have to be, the comeback group, the way they were before, but at least maybe they can meet some resolution, right? So anyways, we get started and we see each of the couples on their way to the cabin trying to figure out what they hope to get from the whole situation, from the whole cabin trip. So we see Kimmy and Maurice basically talking about, hoping that the situation with Martell and Marceau get resolved, I guess, as well with Tisha and Mel. So, of course, as the peacemakers, they just hope that everything turns out peaceful. So we see Martell and Mel in the car. Mel is sick. She has walking pneumonia, which she thinks she contracted from Kimmy, because apparently at the open house, Kimmy had walking pneumonia that she claimed was not contagious. Okay. Okay. Anyways, I'm under the impression that she got it from her. It's like too much of a coincidence. But anyways, so she has been sick, or Mel has been sick, and I don't know. I really don't know what they hope to get out of the whole situation. I think they just want to be able to get away and have a good time, really. And then we have Marceau and Tisha, who kind of want to have a conversation and then move on from there, wherever it takes them, whether they are, whether things are the way they were before, or they are moving in that direction, or whether they just, their time being friends with the Holtz is up. So, anyway, they all show up around the same time, but all of them show up except for Tisha and Marceau. And, Sadarik has Maurice and Martell get ready to play rock, paper, scissors for the master suite. But Maurice hurry up and run up the stairs to choose their room, just like on, what's the name of that show? Shoot, what's the name of this? Flavor of Love. You know how all the girls would be in the house and rush up the stairs to find their rooms. My dog has to go out to the bathroom, so I'm going to hurry this up. So, it's interesting that Martell said, well, Maurice hurries up and runs up the stairs, cheating just like a Scott. Low blow. But anyways, we find out that Martell finds out that he's not sleeping with Mel on this trip. Once again, let me take the dog out. All right, now I'm back. So, anyways, Martell finds out, way after we do, because we found out last episode that Mel doesn't want him sleeping with her. Martell is upset once again because he's so consumed and concerned with what people will think that he does not really care about the actual state of his marriage. It's more about appearance and not letting other people know that they're going through stuff. He was expecting Mel to be lenient, and she wasn't. And do I think that she was right? I'm not sure. I think that Mel really is not ready to end the marriage, and she has to feel powerful in certain areas of her relationship because she doesn't feel powerful or empowered in her relationship. And this little bit of control that she has is her way of reclaiming power in the relationship. That's what it feels like to me. But anyways, It's funny because Maurice was like, it looked like Martell went to go sleep in another room. And the pneumonia is a good cover-up. Like, oh, I don't want to get sick, I'm going to go sleep in another room. Like, that's a really good cover-up. So they should use that if, you know, they really care about appearances, okay? Mel doesn't seem to care as much, right? But anyways, we are going to see what happens on this trip. My hope for this trip is that they can get to a place where they can at least move forward. And whether that means moving forward as the comeback group all together, whether that means getting rid of Mel and Martell, which seem to be the problem children in the group, whether that's agreeing to disagree, or, you know, Martell and Marceau getting to the bottom of this whole I'm gonna throw you under the bus because I'm under the bus right now situation. I just hope that they have fun, that it makes for great television, and that there is some resolve. So we'll see what happens next. All right, now we back, and Tisha and Marceau give themselves a little pep talk in the car before they get in, and they're like, all right, positivity only, okay? When they come at us with their negativity, when they go low, we go high, okay? So that's their game plan. So they get in, they distribute party gifts for all of the couples with sexy gift bags. We saw, you know, a little bit of that in the previous episode. And Siddarth is really as messy as we thought he was, okay? So, you know, some of us thought he was putting on for the show, right? Instead, however, he he basically tells Tisha and Marceau right away that Mel and Martell are not sleeping in the same room. Oh, Martell said he's on punishment. Y'all, that was funny to me. I don't know why that was so funny to me. Where Siddarth was like, oh, they ain't sleeping in the same room, so maybe these sex toys aren't an appropriate gift for them. Anyways, I don't know why that was so funny to me. So the ladies start cooking in the kitchen, and things start to feel a little normal. No tension is really felt. They're a little quiet at the beginning, and then Mel brings up there was a teenage boy, I think he was 15, named Nigel, who lived in North Huntsville, who died by suicide because of the bullying that he was experiencing as a gay male. And, you know, they were talking about that and how the comeback group was supposed to kind of help with those issues in the North Huntsville area. And they seemed to kind of all be, you know, having this good conversation. It was a good way for them to segue into, like, let's have a peaceful, you know, trip, peaceful weekend. And then Siddarth starts blowing the whistle and all that stuff and comes upstairs with the little, I don't know what to call them. Q-tips is what Martell called them, but they are these little, you know, things that people, you know, fight with. Usually it's over like a body of water, like knocking somebody off or something. But whatever. Anyways, he brings that up, and he thinks that this is going to be a good way for the guys to get out some aggression, and immediately Martell is tripping. Now, my first thought was, okay, maybe he experienced some childhood trauma with, like, wrestling or something, because he was really like, ugh. And then he said it was just because he didn't want to have this play fight with Marceau while he's upset with him. Well, he's upset with him, and for things to be escalated to something actually like an actual physical fight. Siddarth, unfortunately, kind of doesn't know when to stop and tries to still get Martell in the spirit of, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're at my cabin. I'm picking the activities. I'm trying to help you all push things back together, and starts to kind of goad Martell. And he's like, pick it up. See how soft it is. It's not going to hurt you. And then he keeps hitting Martell with it. Martell is the one who takes it seriously. And so apparently he really knows himself. And now it's getting to the point where him and Siddarth are kind of like going back and forth. And it's not starting out right for the guys. Oh, God. It's just not starting out right. It's unfortunate. What the heck? You know of what bothers me, just as a personal thing. I'm speaking with I statements, me statements, that type of thing. Something that bothers me is people that just cannot play along. Something that irks me is when you're in a group of people and there's like a person or two that just won't go along. They just won't play along. You're like, oh, let's play a game. No, I ain't finna do that. I ain't finna do that. Let's play a drink. Oh, I don't drink. You know, people who try to rain on the parade, and Martell was doing that, and that would have annoyed me too. I do think that Saddarq went too far because Martell expressed that he didn't want to participate, and he kind of pushed him, you know, to the edge. So, but Martell does have a responsibility to kind of take himself away from the situation and not allow himself to be pushed to the point where he pushed Saddarq into the dang cameramen or camera people. Anyways, let's see what happens next. All right, now, so we're back, and apparently Martell might have got a little triggered based on the conversation he had with his wife. Apparently he has a history of fighting people, so I'm interested to hear more about that moving forward. Anyways, the other guys come out, have a conversation around the grill, because that's what guys do when they barbecue and whatnot. And Martell is taking care of the cooking. They're all having a conversation. They talk about steak and how Martell didn't realize that steak tastes better when it's not well done. Now, here's a little poll for any of you who are watching and want to participate. Down in the comments, tell me how you like your steak. Now, back in the day when I was younger, well done was the way I wanted it. And there's a few reasons why I don't do that anymore. There was one time that I had cut into a steak and was eating it. I thought it was really good and didn't realize until I saw blood on the plate that it was not well done. And I didn't freak out or anything because I know people don't eat, you know, their steaks well done, but it did taste better to me. So ever since then, I have been ordering my steaks like medium. I don't go below medium. Depending on how I feel, I'll do medium well. So tell me how you like your steak. Rare, medium rare, medium well, or well done. In my experience, what I have observed, a lot of black people like their stuff well done. My boyfriend, for example, who is black, likes his steak well done. And the reason I hate getting steak with him is because if you order 2 steaks and one of them is well done, they hold, like, they have to keep both steaks. So my steak takes longer to come out because his has to be on the grill all day in order to get well done. To be fair, the char part on the well done steak is really good, but meat wise and flavor wise, the medium steak is more my speed. So tell me what kind of steak you like down in the comments, because you definitely don't need steak sauce. I've never used steak sauce, but when you when the flavor of the steak is actually there, you don't need the steak sauce. So moving on. So they're talking about steaks, but then Saddarq just like boom, cuts to the chase, and he's like, are you going through something emotionally? Because you're kind of whatever, you're emotionally unstable. And I think it's noble that Saddarq wants to help bring everything together, but I don't think he's the person to do it. I just don't think so. I just don't think he's the right person for it. Okay. Anyways, I think Martell's point, and interestingly, Marcel kind of had Martell's back on this, is that all throughout their years of knowing each other, when Saddarq kind of got aggressive or whatever, and they were like play fighting or whatever, Marcel said Martell has always usually been the one that says, you know, stop. I don't want to do that. And Martell was just like, you know, if we're going to have a wrestling situation, both of us need to be on the same page. And I wasn't on the same page. And so they got past that really fast, which is nice, you know. Men, a lot of times, just have this special way of getting over things really quickly. So it was nice that within 30 minutes they were okay. Anyways, so everybody gets ready to sit down for dinner. They got the steaks, they got asparagus, salad, and something else. They had potatoes, which is great. And so they are sitting down to talk, And Tisha starts off and was like, you know, we're very positive people, and when we get together, we just want to have a good time. And then, of course, Martell is like, oh, we got to cut out the BS. We got to cut out the phoniness and the fakeness. And the reason why I'm upset is because it felt like Marceau was kicking me while I was down and making jokes about the infidelity and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's the problem I have with it. To Marceau's credit, he did not really speak on or joke about the infidelity until it was out in the world, okay? Because in the beginning episodes and stuff, the infidelity was kind of not, you know, hadn't come out fully. And then as time went on, it became a regular part of the show. It became a regular part of their lives. Melody would bring up, oh, what do y'all think about infidelity? Well, Martell has cheated on me. And now they're having these conversations out in the open. It's on national TV. It's not like Marceau was the person who let the cat out of the bag. The cat was already out of the bag. And he just, you know, kind of joked about it a little bit. Okay. So, to Marceau's credit, I do think that he waited long enough for things to kind of be revealed before he made the jokes. But I do think that there is something to be said for the fact that he kind of hurt Martell's feelings. Now, to discredit Martell, if you don't cheat, nobody makes jokes about it, okay? If you don't cheat, nobody can make jokes about it. You've been cheating around town. Everybody knows. You've been cheating for 2.5, 3 years now. Can't seem to get this other woman out of your bloodstream. And instead of you getting mad at yourself for falling into the trap and for basically creating your own trap and digging your own grave, you get mad at somebody who you think has cheated more often than you have. And you throw him under the bus because he made a joke about something that you did to yourself and to your marriage and to your wife. He's deflecting. And while I think it's okay for him to feel hurt by Marceau, I don't think it's okay for him to drag Marceau into his own drama and to accuse him of infidelity as well. Just to kind of take the heat off himself, or to kind of spitefully and vengefully inflict pain in his own in Marceau's marriage. I don't think that's right. So let's see what happens next. Now let's unpack the rest of this dinner. So, something interesting happened. Cedric did something good. He asked Marceau, if you were in that situation, which he kind of is now, in a situation where, you know, infidelity crept into your marriage, would you want someone to make jokes about it? And Marceau, I think, really had never considered that. To be honest with y'all, Martell really don't seem to have a good sense of humor. His sense of humor is almost a little sadistic, if you know what I'm saying. So, he does have a different sense of humor from the other guy. So I can acknowledge that and acknowledge that he didn't see the humor in, you know, joking about the hole that he dug for himself. But anyways, the point is, I think Marceau finally understood where Martell was coming from. He apologized to him and shook his hand. And I think it was sincere because I really don't think that he considered what that meant originally. So next, however, Martell apologized for getting so aggressive and cursing at Marceau, but not for the accusations that Marceau has cheated on his wife. I think that Marceau, you know, has cheated on his wife. Seems likely. I really don't like that he waited a year to throw that man under the bus. Something very nasty and ugly about that. But Tisha was upset that Marceau didn't push Martell to apologize for the actual accusations. And there's probably a reason for that. If he pushes that man to apologize for something that he's actually done, it could push Martell towards further proving that he's right about Marceau cheating on Tisha. So, Marcel playing it cool is the best, the best thing for now. You know, God forbid Martell have something on deck or on hand, or text messages or videos or pictures that could really prove that Marcel is messing around. But moving on, we talk about Mel and Tisha next. Tisha is kind of just like over it. It's just kind of over the whole situation, and Mel feels like it's easier for Tisha to call Mel fake as opposed to actually looking into, you know, if her husband is cheating on her or not. But moving on, Mel, interestingly enough, kind of jumped on the Martell train and was talking about how the three of those couples hanging out together was probably part of the reason why he decided to stray and cheat. And I'm going to call BS on that. I'm going to call BS. I think it's weird that you feel okay blaming somebody else for your husband's actions. Perhaps he looked at the other couples and saw that Kimmy and Tisha are, you know, in their relationships and in their roles in their relationships are a little bit more traditional as far as fixing their husband plates, and, you know, the women make sure the house is clean and the men don't worry about that. Having these traditional roles and seeing that going on made him feel like, as you know, Martell, when we first got introduced to Martell, he was, you know, really involved with the kids, helping to clean the house, something that is like a really non-traditional role for a guy. And for Martell to see, okay, these other people have these relationships that work for them, and I'm just doing so much, maybe I should expect more from Mel, or a more traditional role from Mel. And while, again, like they said, there is this influence, it's a total different thing for somebody to say, okay, my wife isn't doing this, I'm going to go cheat on her. At what point does he communicate to his wife that, you know, it's really nice that, you know, it's really nice and refreshing to see that Kimmy and Tisha really cater to their man. I really wish you would do more stuff like that for me. Like, you know, maybe whatever, just asking for what you need as opposed to going somewhere else to look for it. It's really weird that that both of them, both Martell and Mel, feel like the demise of their relationship, or the start of the infidelity, had to do with them being around other couples. It's very weird. Instead of Martell looking inside of himself and Mel pushing Martell to look inside of himself to figure out what's wrong with him, that he would cheat on his wife and, you know, go against the vows that he made to her. Feels very scapegoat-ish. Even though there might be a little something to it. Like they said, there's something, you know, there may be a little bit of influence, but he's a grown man. He should be able to control his own urges. You know, anyways, moving on. Tisha and Marcel are in the room alone. Tisha is still upset with Marcel about him not really defending himself against the rumors that Martell has started. Tisha is becoming suspicious, as she should. She needs to start checking text messages and stuff, you know, become a detective, okay? But Tisha, interestingly enough, is becoming more understanding of Mel. If Mel truly believes that the three couples hanging out led to the infidelity, it makes sense that Mel would want to distance herself from everybody. So I think that Tisha became more understanding of Mel, which I think is nice and hopefully helps to kind of mend their relationship. But y'all, we'll see what happens next. It is very suspicious that Marcel is not defending himself against these rumors. Tisha, gotta look out for him. All right, y'all, so this will be the last part of this review. So here we go. Kimmy and Maurice have been again, speaking with I statements, my favorite couple. And for the first time, there seems to be some contention in their relationship. Big contention, okay? Because originally, the contention lived in like Detroit, somewhere in the Midwest, far away from Huntsville. But now, unfortunately for Kimmy and Maurice, Maurice has opened his big mouth and offered some big incentives for his ex-wife and her new husband to come move up the street from Kimmy and Maurice. Now it's going to get real. Okay, so let's talk about how the conversation unfolded. So, one of the things about being like a positive person and being a peacemaker is that you, even in delivering bad news, you try to do it in a good way. And I didn't really care for the way that Maurice was trying to frame how he had this, you know, intense conversation that can really impact, or that will really impact Kimmy's life, in a way that, oh, you know, it's nothing, it's going to be okay. And, you know, I offered for them to come down here, and like trying to put it in a way that kind of coddles her feelings instead of being like straight up, you know what? So in an effort to get my son here, you know how much Kiowa was really, upset, how Kiowa was really reluctant to fulfill her promise to allow my son to come live with me. I wanted to make sure that it happened at, you know, any means possible. So I have offered for Kiowa and her husband to come down here, check out Huntsville, and see if this is a place they want to live permanently. I'm sorry for not bringing this to you in the first place. I'm sorry about not having a conversation with you, a conversation with you about this, but I just really need to be an influence in my son's life. And if that means having Kiowa and her husband down here living in a house that we pay for, then, you know, that's what it's going to take. And instead of kind of leveling with her, he was kind of telling her how to feel about it. Oh, you shouldn't feel that way. You should feel like I'm doing everything I can to be with my son. That's the wrong way to think about it. And that's one of the things that me, personally, I hate. Don't tell me how to feel about something. That's like the one thing that I have control over, is how to feel about something. And so the little bit of control that Kimmy has in the relationship resides with her regarding this whole situation. And he's kind of trying to take that away from her by telling her, well, this is the way you should feel about it. I am just very upset with Maurice. And I feel like he did this out of desperation. And I think that there's something to be said for a newly married couple and not understanding what's pertinent to share with your partner and get their perspective on before you act on your own. If they were, you know, at this point still not married, maybe he could get away with this. Not likely, but maybe, okay? But the fact that you have a wife that you love, whose only relief from your ex-wife is the fact that she lives thousands of miles away, and you invite her to come stay up the street in a house that you own so she doesn't have to pay bills. And then she said, you know, her physically able husband don't have to work. He has removed every obstacle out of the way and created a world of incentives. Do you know how much money I could save if I didn't have to pay rent? We live in a very expensive place, okay, near Seattle, Washington. It's very expensive. My portion of the rent is about equal to what we used to pay for our old apartment in Louisiana, like total. It's a lot of money, okay? Do you know how much money I could save if I didn't have to pay for the place where I was living? I could be set for life, okay? So the fact that he's like, y'all can come down here, y'all ain't got to have no mortgage. Y'all can, you know, watch over, you know, our son. He can live with us. You can have access to him. You can have access to us. That's too much. And without talking to his wife, and it's definitely going to impact Kimmy, to have the person who she thinks and has reason to believe is still in love with her husband to be that close to her. It's too much. And the fact, and I was with Kimmy. Kimmy is very grown, okay? Kimmy is so grown. She knew stuff just off the top of her head. Kimmy said, in what world is it okay for your ex-wife to talk about me? Why is she so comfortable coming to you with the problems that she has with me, and we ain't even had a conversation yet? Kimmy knows that Kiowa has never been respectful of Kimmy. So that's number one. And the fact that this person is going to have access to her in person is going to create some tension in her life. And she don't want to do that, right? Then Kimmy was like, well, how long did it take her to say okay when you made this offer to her? And he was like, oh, I don't know. It took seconds. Okay. I wasn't even there, and I know it took seconds because I'm saying when, I can't remember their sister's name. Is it Millie? She has like an old lady name. Millie is Marceau and Maurice's sister. And when Kimmy sat down with Maurice's sister when they were at that club, Maurice's sister said that she believes that Kiowa still has feelings for Maurice. So Kimmy, I think, really has reason to believe that Kiowa still has feelings for Maurice, and that even though she has a whole husband and, you know, hopefully would have moved on, that this is an opportunity for her to cause havoc in their marriage. Maurice definitely did the wrong thing, and instead of being understanding of Kimmy's position and her feelings, he's just kind of steamrolling her. And I have a problem with that because I feel like in my relationship personally, when my boyfriend or like when a man has their tunnel vision, like she said, and their sights set on something, they will steamroll over everything to get what they want. They'll steamroll over your feelings. They won't talk to you about situations. They don't care about how it affects or impacts your life. The only thing he wants to do is to be able to raise his son, and even if it's at Kimmy's expense or the expense of their marriage, he's going to do what he wants to do. And that's why I can be understanding of why Kimmy was so upset. I feel very bad for her. And particularly because I know this was not Maurice's intention. And there's a difference between your intention versus your impact. And for him not to talk to his wife about this first, because again, when you plant a seed in somebody's head, you can't unplant that seed. So basically, because he's removed all of these obstacles, in Kiowa's mind, the wheels are already turning. And those wheels will not stop turning, because even if the offer is off the table and like they have to pay for their own mortgage, it's still the seed is in their mind that she will feel more comfortable with their son Monster living with Maurice if she is in Huntsville. Her wheels are already turning. So even if she got to pay her own mortgage, it ain't nothing for her to move her and her husband down to Huntsville to make herself feel more comfortable about where her son is. The plan is already in motion. Y'all, Maurice did the wrong thing, and Kimmy got upset after Maurice left and was crying, and I just feel so bad for her. I wish she would have been a little bit more angry with him, and hopefully she will be, and we'll see where it goes from there. But y'all, that's the end of this review. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and to share this with someone who you think will enjoy it. Peace out, Home Slices.